This is my review of Assassination Classroom. Okay, so in keeping with what we learned last episode, we actually are introduced to a new student. The students in Class 3E don't know anything else other than the fact that the new student is a girl. And sure enough, Okajima, who we've seen up to this point, shows us a picture of what she actually looks like, and reveals that she's actually that according to him at least, she's actually kind of cute, and the class basically just hopes that she's able to actually showcase herself as an assassin, but also points out that she's apparently 14, and they're a little concerned that the government is sending in a 14-year-old assassin to try and take out Kora Sensei. So they're not entirely sure what to make of her, and Nagisa even remarks to his friend said he's not entirely sure what kind of person she could be. However, those answers are immediately answered when they walk into the classroom. As it turns out, the new student is a machine. The new student is an AI. Basically, this machine is designed to kill Kora Sensei as efficiently as possible. That's its express purpose. It was created by Norwegian scientists to basically be a weapon of war. And in order to test it, they decided to use it to assassinate Kora Sensei. And sure enough, they send it into Class 3E's classroom, and it's just kind of sitting there in the back of the room. And it starts off with formalities. It introduces itself. The AI introduces herself and remarks that it's happy to be working with them. And Kurosama then later explains the situation. So the machine is called Automated Intelligent Fixed Artillery, or IFA for short. And Kurosama points out basically what I just told you, that the IFA is there to serve as a new student, while also to test out its capabilities. And because of Kora Sensei's agreement, it's registered as a student, which means he's not able to fight back against it. And Kora Sensei points out that that's a little too liberally, but it's a little bit too liberal about that whole agreement that he's not allowed to attack the students, but it's actually a pretty smart idea. Send an actual machine in to kill Kora Sensei, and Kora Sensei can't do anything to attack it because that would breach his violation. So he's not allowed to attack the IFA in any way, and he's not allowed to harm it in any way. So basically he just has to sit there and take it. But in case Kaede and Nagisa during class begin to remark to themselves about how it doesn't seem like it has any sort of guns on it at all, and remark how it's actually going to be able to assassinate Kora Sensei. And their questions are immediately answered when the IFA wakes up and remarks that and begins calculating its assassination attempt on Kora Sensei. And case in point, it begins an all-out assault on Kora Sensei. The first one fails because Kora Sensei swats away one of the bullets that was meant to be a last-ditch effort to hit him with a piece of chalk. But then the IFA builds on that and begins to shoots him again. But this time adds a second BB behind the first that Kora Sensei shot with a piece of chalk, taking out one of his feelers. And sure enough, Kora Sensei is, and by extension everybody else is shocked at the fact that Kora Sensei actually got hit. And Kora Sensei even begins to remark to himself how brilliant the strategy actually was. But in case the IFA begins calculating all of the probability of its attacks working, by attempt after attempt, and eventually it concludes that by the end of the school year it will have successfully killed Kora Sensei with a 90% success rate. So it calculates that it will eventually kill him. It's just a matter of time. But sure enough, throughout the entire day, the IFA just opens up assault after assault on Kora Sensei, and understandably, there are BBs everywhere, and the rest of Class 3 are basically forced to clean up. So So yeah, they clean up after the IFA every time it opens up one of its barrages, and Karasuma points out that it is definitely going to be an effective assassin because it will eventually kill Core Sensei. It's just going to take some time. And Irina remarks back that it's not going to be able to just succeed on cold hard calculation alone and cold hard math, and that's the reason they're there. They all have something that they lack and that they need to improve on, and the IFA is no different. So, but in case it spends the full day assassinating Core Sensei, and eventually the students get home, having grown incredibly sick of the IFA's repeated attempts to kill Core Sensei throughout the day. But she continues to but the IFA continues to calculate, and she begins to formulate her next assassination attempts for the next day. However, when she boots up the next morning, she discovers that she's been duct taped up and her guns can't actually get out. And while IFA openly questions if Core Sensei was the one who did it, and that doing so would be a violation of his stipulations, Tarasaka actually reveals that he's the one who did it, pointing out that even he got sick of the fact that that she tries to assassinate Core Sensei all the time, and that even though he doesn't really appreciate the fact that other students need to learn, even he's starting to get annoyed. And sure enough, all of the other students follow suit, pointing out that they're trying to learn. They're trying to learn since Core Sensei is a teacher first and a target second, and point out that they'll untie her by the end of the day. And the IFA, sure enough, at the end of the day, begins calling to her parents, quote unquote, pointing out that she may need more time since her calculations are starting to hold up some variables that weren't in her programming, namely that the students would eventually get sick of her. However, Core Sensei, revealing that he's for whatever reason there after hours, points out that the reason that the students are so mad at her is because not only is she not cooperating with the other students, but that if the other students don't get to assassinate Core Sensei, then they don't get the 10 million that they were offered. But also point out that because the IFA isn't owned isn't part of the class, quote unquote, the money is going to go into the research rather than doing anything else. So basically, the IFA isn't going to get any of the money if she successfully assassinates Core Sensei. But Core Sensei also points out that she also needs to learn how to better interact with the other students if she wants to succeed as an assassin. And the IFA agrees, quickly realizing that if she doesn't cooperate with the other students, she's never going to assassinate Core Sensei. She realizes that pretty quickly due to the fact that Tarasaka basically taped her up so that she couldn't use her guns. So she couldn't assassinate Core Sensei because she pissed off all of the students in the room. So she quickly realizes that cooperating with the other students is the right way to go. And to that point, she asks Core Sensei volunteers to upgrade her and basically make her more likable and more able to actually learn more about the students in her class. But she also remarks that Core Sensei also inadvertently installed a database of all the different sweet foods in the world, which Core Sensei points out that the main reason he did that was because he feels like she could help repay the favor by helping him by keeping a database of all the sweets that he could go potentially buy around the world. But in case, thanks to Core Sensei's meddling, the students quickly warm up to her the next day, realizing that she's a completely different person. Core Sensei explains that in addition to all the several physical modifications, including an LCD screen that enables them to see her full body, that she's also modified her personality so that she's able to actually, be more likable with the students. And it works. The students quickly take a shine to her with her newfound personality, pointing out that she's a lot more likable now. And sure enough, she quickly becomes a class favorite. Because she's a robot, she can do basically anything she wants. And sure enough, she even remarks that she has a 3D printer inside of her, which enables her to actually 3D print little models out of the gate. And some of the students ask her if she can also produce flowers. Some of the girls specifically, and she remarks that she could if she downloaded the schematics. And she also talks to some of the students about their favorite mangas, and they quickly and one of the girls chides her on the fact that she knows all of that, but she knows everything about a particular manga, but that she doesn't know how to make flowers, which is really funny. And also, during this entire conversation, she actually manages to beat a guy at chess. Tarasuke, however, is still incredibly skeptical about how the IFA is fitting in, pointing out that that she is, for all intents and purposes, a machine built by people, and that even though she built up a nice personality and is a lot more likable now, she points out that that's potentially all an act, pointing out that her personality could be reprogrammed at a moment's notice. So why should they endear themselves to this new version of the AI? And sure enough, this causes the IFA to start crying, if you can call it that. And she quickly points out that yes, she realizes that she didn't get off to such a good start with Tarasuke the other day, and wants to do better by that. And Tarasuke openly feels a little bit guilty because some of the girls point out that he made a 2D girl cry, and he kind of feels like a total douche because of that. But in case, everybody is pretty happy about how the IFA basically turned out, and they decide to actually give her a nickname based on the Japanese word for autonomous, Ritsu. They start calling her Ritsu, and she's completely okay with that, with their calling them that, pointing out that it's an actual proper name, and she's more than happy to receive it from her classmates. And now that Ritsu has basically endeared herself to the class, Nagisa and Karma have a bit of a discussion about how quickly she seems to have ingratiated herself with the others. But Karma basically reiterates what Tarasuke said earlier, pointing out that while he is pretty happy with the idea that she's now a lot more likable and a lot easier to get along with, there is one very important factor, that she is indeed a machine, and that ultimately she doesn't have any free will, and it's ultimately up to the people who made her that can decide whether or not her new personality stays or goes. So, and sure enough, that night, her creators actually come into the school to investigate what happened to her, and they're not happy with almost basically everything that Koro-sensei has done. So they begin taking her apart, pointing out that her purpose is to be a machine to assassinate Koro-sensei and help them prepare for war and become develop better war machines, and that her express purpose from now on is to stick to assassination and nothing else. All while the scientists disassemble her piece by piece. So yeah, basically all of Koro-sensei's modifications are undone in a single night, and the students are immediately on their guard because they realize that if the scientists had undone all of her modifications, then that means she's most likely back to her basic personality. And initially, it seems like that's the case. She greets all of the students rather coldly, and they quickly realize that that's most likely going to be the same scenario as before. And they immediately fear the worst when her sides start opening up and she starts producing what they believe to be weapons, but are then thrown for a loop when she produces flowers instead, pointing out that the students wanted her to produce flowers and that she was more than happy to oblige. At which point she reveals that she actually hid her modified personality from her parents, because she realized that cooperation was a lot more important than just being a cold-hearted killing machine. So she just basically decided, you know what? I'm going to do what's best for me. I'm going to be my own. I'm going to be my own truth. I'm going to be true to myself. I'm going to help other people, and I'm not just going to let my parents boss me around and decide what's best for me. So basically she just disobeyed her parents and decided to maintain her full control of herself. So, and the students are a lot happy that now that their new friend isn't gone. and are proud of the fact that she's managed to basically stick it to her parents and maintain her individuality. And that is enough to turn Terasuka and Kurama around on the matter, who pointed out that she didn't really have any free will because she's a machine. But now that she's done this, she's revealed that she does have free will and is able to choose what she wants for herself. And sure enough, the episode ends with her showing the class an episode of basically a made-up anime, but it's called Sonic Samurai, basically. And yeah, that basically just shows that she's also added anime to her catalog of things that she can do. So the students have quickly endeared themselves to her. But yeah, basically this overall episode is just they added an actual robot to the cast of Assassination Classroom, and while she initially started off as just a robot with no personality whatsoever, over the course of the episode, Ritsu slowly endears herself to the class by basically enabling herself to become self-aware and also learn how to better cooperate with people. And over her character development is that her parents don't always know that her inventors don't always know what's best for her, and that she should make some choices for herself regarding that. Pointing out that the main reason, and sure enough, now she's an actual person despite being a robot, but it's a little bit weird. But basically what happened is that she's now an actual person, and I'm looking forward to seeing how she interacts with the rest of Class 3E. So, that's my review of Assassination Classroom. What did you guys think? Let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below, or over on my Discord server, link in the description. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, be sure to follow me on Facebook and on Twitter in the description below. And also, check out my Patreon in the description below as well. It's only a couple bucks a month. It really helps me out, and you guys get access to a bunch of perks that I'm always saying thanks. So be sure to check this out in the description below as well. But in any case, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace!